Welcome, guys. All right, so we're going to be starting the presentation now. Presentation on new topic here: the EMR evolution, breaking free from T0 and T1 documentation hell, diagnostic journey through your current documentation, which approaches cleaning your practice and how it's possible, what's possible instead. All right, so here we go. So where are most doctors stuck at? Stone Age. You're at the Stone Age and T1 less pain. So the Stone Age is basically you have to type everything with your two fingers, like those praying mantis physicians of the past, or when physicians went from using paper to using computers and nobody really knew how to type at the time. I think that's like 1996. And then those of us that evolved thanks to video games like Warcraft 2 and StarCraft, we started typing a lot faster. We had ICQ, MSN. Any of you remember that stuff? We had Napster, LimeWire. We had the early BitTorrent. You remember the shock these technologies did for everybody? It was quite a change. Spectacular, right? So all of that is now gone to a very high degree. And so it was a little bit like that. Let's say that the internet has evolved society tremendously. So T0 Stone Age, everything is done on a piece of paper. And then you have T1 automation systems like this, which I spoke about, or the Trodat, which is this here, right? A self-inking stamp that has basically will put the information that I prearranged on it before I bought it. And so this is good for very highly repetitive things. But like I explained, I don't even use the Trodat anymore all that much. I use it almost for style to some degrees. You know, for some legal paperwork, you want to get to some sort of like a stamp or something that will give a value to your e-signature, your electronic signature. You know, the patient's not just copying that from you or something. But anyways, so it's slightly better with these tools, right? T1 is a little bit better. So to understand what I'm talking about, T1, T0, go back to the video called The 5 Tiers of Clinical Automation, which was posted not even 24 hours ago. So T0 symptoms, the free text nightmare. So your EMR is an enemy. So when you have to write everything, so I want to add something here. Everything you're doing is on a piece of paper. So how do you get that into a patient chart? So let's say you do work leave, physical therapy, referral, prescription for anti-inflammatories, X-ray recommendations, one patient. You have 20 patients a day. How many is that going to make you? Let's say you have 75 pages. So now you have to scan 75 pages on a day-to-day basis. You know, this is going to take a whole lot of time. Now, it's not easy that you don't just scan the page and it goes exactly to the folder of that specific patient. No, unfortunately, you scan it to an EMR. So if you have EMRs now, you're stuck. You have to put everything in these files. So if you're going to be a T0 practice, I think you might as well just remain a T0 practice forever. But the second you start involving with EMRs, now you're done. Now everything has to go to the exact, folder of the right patient. So if you have 70, all the clicks, all the upload file, every file you have to name it. It is really, really, really bad and unpleasant. And it's very time consuming. And it now renders the physician dependent on these other people, right? You need somebody to scan all the documents. And if they don't show up, what happens? What if you lose them? Really annoying. Just go directly if you can. Just work on the EMR. Don't use T0 systems like I've been mentioning. Avoid notes that are handwritten. Just go straight to the EMR. So inconsistency reigns when everybody's writing their notes. You have to understand everybody's calligraphy to make sense of things. You have to become an expert in cryptography and like sign languages and discerning scribbles from the Mediterranean, caves, because that's where some of these physicians get their calligraphy. It's really horrible. And it's like a scribble it's like I don't know, man. So we had trainings in residency where pharmacists came to us, and it was to tell us about the importance. It's like, not that they listen to us because you're a resident, not that you still listen to us. Let me tell you about some examples of why we think it's important as a pharmacist that you actually write things properly, right? So they gave us some examples. They showed us some of what physicians said. Bro, I think it's on purpose, man. Like, they must do it on purpose, because you look at that and you understand. It's like, what is this? It makes no sense. It's like a dolphin. They drew out a dolphin. What is this? So it's like the scribble looks like the fin of a dolphin or something. Like, hell, So inconsistency, poor communication. What did he say? What did he mean? Data black hole. Critical information gets buried in paragraphs. So this is another issue, but I think it's even worse with AI. Instant HPI tries to correct this by giving structure and consistency to the AI outputs. But one of the big problems is that if you have 5 different AIs, DeepSeek, Llama, whatever, ChatGPT, Anthropic, and you use them all, Manus, you use them all and you tell them, prepare me a soap note with this information, you're going to get 5 different outputs. So you want consistency, and you don't. AI, unfortunately, will do sometimes a bunch of garbage that's completely useless to use a doctor. So the data black hole is real. You give them something simple, it's going to create exceedingly long, like a 5-page output, and you just needed something straightforward and simple. So as far as using something that's portable that you can use, yeah, having consistency in the structure of the output is something that is a major thing that we change and that we improve with Instant HPI. So T1 symptoms template trap, copy-paste prison, cookie cutter medicine time thief. So there are huge efficiency issues with documentation. Cookie cutter medicine templates force the same approach regardless of patient needs, creating robotic documentation. Yes and no. A copy-paste prison, you've created Word templates, but still manually copy them into your EMR for each patient. So EMR integration is a highly sophisticated and complex issue. And the reason is EMR, so you need to have some sort of an API call to do this, or an API key to then have the software send it to. So this is very difficult because every software, every EMR has its own company, independent from other companies. So they don't have a universal way that you can do it for your company and then it applies to all the EMRs in the world. It doesn't work like that, unfortunately. It'd be nice, but it doesn't exist. So your templates force the same approach regardless of patient needs, creating robotic documentation. This is when you use poor T1 tier. So it's actually more complex than that. You need to understand what T1 is. And I said FormSite is a T1 system. So it's a template. When the patient submits that, FormSite will create a PDF with the variables, which are the questions, and the value, which is what the patient typed out. So you will get that as a PDF. That's not a medical note. That's just the raw information provided by the patient with the question that was there. So it's like you can't really use that for making a note without having an AI system, or you have to just do the note yourself completely. So the templates will not be able to provide organization of thought, and it will not be able to do things. You absolutely need intelligence at this point in time to build the next structures, whether it's your own intelligence or artificial intelligence. So the real cost for daily documentation, what is that? In a month, that's like at least, so it's like 60 hours a month. 60 hours, that's like a week of work. A physician works on, let's say 8 to 10 hours a day. Let's say you're one of those lucky ones that I work at 8 and I leave at 4. So that's roughly 8 hours. So if you spend on average 2.5 hours documenting, just do the math. You work 5 days a week, that's 12.5 hours. You work 4 weeks, that's 50 hours. 50 hours is nearly an entire week's worth of your month is purely documenting stuff. You're a scribe. Okay, so value lost. Let me explain this. So we know for a fact, let me explain something. The way you get paid, it's not really hourly. So yes, hourly on average, the average physician earns $150. This is in the States, $150 an hour. So if you spend 2.5 hours, what is that in a day? For a Canadian doctor, that's what's considered to be like a full day of work in Quebec. The legal billing code here in Quebec for physicians states that if you want to have a consideration that you worked a full day, you need to at least bill $500. So it's not based on the number of patients you see, it's based on your billing. So if I get $40 as a family physician, 40 Canadian dollars for seeing a patient, that's roughly 12 to 13 patients, right? But in the States, the average doctor makes $150 an hour. US, that's like 200 Canadian dollars. So you actually document as much as we get considered to have a full day of salary in Quebec. That's crazy. So the idea here is that if I actually turn that into practical time and you see, let's say 4 patients an hour, that's like seeing 10 patients, right? If you work 2.5 hours and you see 4 patients an hour, it's roughly 10 patients. Let me explain why I'm telling you this. 15 minutes per patient, it's about 10 patients. If you do the math, so you basically are being paid 400. So what is that? It's 150. It's $375 for documenting. However, what we calculated as far as what is your revenue according to most contracts and what people see as what's considered to be a full day of work. If you see 2 patients extra on a day basis, 2 patients at the end of the year, that is considered to be approximately $25,000 for 2 patients. $25,000. If you see 4 patients extra on a daily basis, basically you work an extra hour. You make $50,000. So if you see 10 patients, you would see $125,000 extra a year. If you actually manage to transform this extra time you have in seeing patients, you could see as many as 10 more patients a day. Do you want to do that? And this is where I went to people and I said, okay, here's the wisdom of the technology. There's a lot of physicians out there. You're burned out. You don't need more money. You need balance. And balance means you need to just chill out, get some of that money, and treat yourself to a good life. That's what you have to do. That's what you should do. Okay. So although you see these numbers, do not immediately transform well. And I am telling you, this is like the Aladdin's cave. When you get instant HPI, it's like your gate to open that door to that cave. And you're going to be tempted. You're going to see, oh man, I can actually, all my work is now significantly easier. I could just see 4 patients a day extra and now get $50,000. What I tell people is the average physician is not in a state to actually make that type of decision. They will maybe be incited to do that. But the real thing, the real benefit is that you actually take these 2.5 hours to do exercise, to meditate, to swim, to do biking, to cook for yourself, to live and to live. You will actually have the same salary. The hours that you spend seeing the other patients are going to actually be easier. So we will save you this much, but the other hours that you work will actually be easier. So it's way more than it seems. Automation is the future. It's how we go into the future. Why T0T1 fails to scale? So here's a big issue here. As your practice grows, the cracks in T0T1 documentation become chasms. What worked with 15 patients completely breaks down at 25. Let me explain this. What works at 15 completely breaks down at 25 is, let's just be sincere. It doesn't work at 15. It doesn't. That's why it doesn't work at 25. It's a stress test. Hey, I'm walking. I have no heart disease. Okay, let's put you on a treadmill. I'm dead. Oh, he does have heart disease. So the stress test is how many patients can you see on a day-to-day basis. So this can actually be definitely accelerated with the higher levels of automation, right? The higher tiers of automation. But you will not see it as much in like T0, T1. If you're on paper, man, it's like at 15, it's bad. 25 is worse. At 50, then you're not going to work for the next 2-3 days because you're going to be burned out. So there's no point to scale something that doesn't work. Don't scale what doesn't work. It's just common sense. So these do fail to scale. Do not waste your time on them. That's what I mean. Get a better tool. Focus on getting a better tool and then proceed with seeing more patients, basically. Emotional toll, mental fatigue, home invasion, documentation follows you home. Absolutely it does, man. And you've seen those people, man. They see a dog, follow them in the streets. The dog gets to their home, they go like, meh, or a cat, and they go like, oh, he's so cute. Let me give you some food. That dog is never leaving. And now, next thing you know, he's part of the house. So does documentation love your bed. Documentation says, please take me to bed. I love it there. It's so comfy. It's like crap. That's life, man. Mental fatigue, decision fatigue from thousands of clicks and endless form filling depletes cognitive resources. But the patient disconnection, looking at screens. But here's the problem. How do you deal with that? Like, how can you fix that? Oh, I have a patient. You may have. So I had a patient like 2 days ago. And I even said in another video, this guy presented with what seemed like a classic presentation for a tendon rupture, biceps tendon rupture, distal portion. You know, he's saying I was lifting something, I felt a pop, and suddenly I felt like a ball in the region of my biceps, and I can no longer flex my forearm on my arm. Like, that's a classic tendon rupture, right? Had a hematoma, like it's a classic. So I told him, hey, listen, we're going to get you to do an ultrasound. I'm going to send anti-inflammatories to your pharmacy. I'm going to give you work-related changes and recommendations. So I prepared that for him, and I explained, do the echo stat, do it fast. Next day, I get the results. It's a tendon rupture. I immediately consult orthopedics. He tells me, hey, doc, I tried to work today. I wasn't able to work. He's actually right-handed. So now he needs work leave. So then I gave him the work leave. And now that he has the work leave, he's going to want to get paid. So I will have to do the insurance paperwork related to that so that he can get his salary. All that was built by Instant HPI. I just did minor changes to it. Minor changes. The guy has an appointment really soon with an orthopedic surgeon. Everything is set up for him. That is a very labor-intensive consultation. Sometimes, to make it worse, this happens at work. So it's also workers' comp. So you need to do specific documentation for that and explain that as well to the patient. So it's very nice when the AI has it all prepared for you. So patient disconnection. So what is why am I saying this right now in patient disconnection? Just think about it. If you have to do all that, are you gonna be looking at the guy as you do all that? No, it's impossible. The patient is in the room with you. It's gonna take you time to prepare all these documents, or else you can tell him, well, listen, okay, I examined you. I think this is what you got. Go to your pharmacy if you want now. I'll send you the documents by email. I need time to write them. That's another way to go about that. But that's delaying things, right? So who likes doing that? When you delay things, it's the best way to not to do them, right? So then tonight you have 20 cases that you delayed, that you have things to do, just because you didn't want to have the patient see you look at the computer screen too long. Now you're in a big problem. Or you can tell them, just go, I'll send you the information by email. It's not as good as if you gave them the documents right here. So that's just a reality of the medical practice, that we don't have the tools to give excellent care, but now you do. Instant HPI will do that. So remember, before the patient walked in for the assessment, I already had all the information prepared, because it was prepared from the moment that he sent in that form. He submitted the form with all the information related to his case. I did that. Then I did the video conference, and it was perfect. It was just streamed perfectly. I loved it. So that's what makes this is what makes me love my job. It's not Instant HPI. It's that my job is easy and nice. That's fun. In a world where we have a lot of documentation to do, there you go. Fourth thing, burnout risk. That is not nice, right? So like I said earlier, if it doesn't work at 15, don't scale it to 25. If 15 is not easy, don't try 20. When I mean easy, it's that you have a good life outside of your job. So I value your life as a physician, not as what you live in your job, because I know your job, it's how you live outside of your job. If your job is out of control, I know it, because you don't see your family, you don't do the things that you like, you have no hobbies. I know why do I even need to look at your job? I already know your job sucks. So just see that like that, and you will see very clearly. Maybe you can't see how bad your job actually is. So this is not an Instant HPI issue. It's really a coordination issue, because you're coordinating your job in your life, in your family life, in your friend's life, your health, your objectives, your fitness goals, your financial freedom and potential future. You're coordinating your job into all that mumble jumble stuff, potentially investing to boost up your medical practice, studying to do something better, but it's taking your time and you're earning less money. You put all that into like a table, and then I go like, you're single, you don't have a family, you're tired, you're worn out. I was like, dude, your life's actually tougher than every other doctor I know. So why would I even ask you, how many patients are you seeing? Like, it's not even relevant. It's not about the number of patients you see. It's about, are you able to do anything other than being a doctor? This is how we should grade doctors today. It's not what are your RVUs? Who cares besides your employer? I don't care about your RVUs. So nobody really cares about your RVUs except your wallet and your accountant. Your accountant is worried about your RV because he knows how much you spend your money, And he's like, taxes are coming. We feel your pain. I didn't go to med school to become, by the way, this is a BS AI. I hate it when AI puts all these fake quotes. I always tell it, like, don't give me no fake quotes. Like 20,000 people like this product, man. I hate that stuff, man. The desire of people to fool others and like have no authenticity is such a big problem in business, man. The business, money is such a like, there's nothing bad with money, but the process of getting money is so based on, like, I don't know. I think you guys know what I mean. But the AI, when you ask it, make me a website, without exception, all the AIs, you tell it, make me a website, it's gonna create bullshit. Contact me page that doesn't exist, like addresses, commentaries by people that do not exist. I really, really dislike. It's so unauthentic. So we feel your pain. I'm not even gonna read it, you see, because I find this to be disappointing at the base. This struggle isn't your fault. All right. So those are quotes. So no blame, just diagnoses, system problems, not doctor problems. Definitely system problems, but it is your responsibility to build your dream practice. It's not your employer's responsibility. Trust me, their responsibility is doing their practice very, very profitable, and they are making mucho dollars playing golf while you see patients. So they're doing a good job. You're doing a good job. Everybody's happy. Okay. System problems, not doctor problems. EMRs designed for billing, not clinical workflow. Documentation requirements expanding yearly. You understand that like the EMRs are built for billing, but truly the insurance companies more and more want to have all these benchmarks. You do realize that the goal of that is to disenfranchise the work you do and to actually find excuses to not pay you, to compare you to other physicians, to your, hey, this is the average in your town, so you're doing less than the average, so we're gonna have to deduce your reimbursements by 25%. Just like this is the mentality of these people, man. They have not only destroyed the medical profession, you see it how they do these price gouging things, you know? You went to the emergency department, you spend there 2 hours, boom, $5,000 for waiting on a chair, $600. Why? Oh, because we do offer free healthcare to these patients and not everybody pays, so you're gonna pay. What? What's the difference between that and Canada with our taxation system, right? It's exactly the same. Subsidized healthcare through, I think, just dishonesty, unfair. They profit from people. And to be honest, I don't think patients, unfortunately, understand to what degree this is crooked. So inadequate training on documentation efficiency, technology that fights rather than supports your progress. You have to understand, it's not that it fights, it's that everybody's fighting for money. You're fighting for money against your employer, and you're also fighting for money against the insurance company. So what does that leave you with? Your opponents are an insurance company and your employer. Now, on your side is the employer that he also wants to get paid, and you are the person that's going to help them get paid. So you can work together. There is symbiosis in the parasitosis. All right, so what's next? Breaking through T2, T3. T0 is where you are when you start, you're manually typing. If there's something you need, if you're in the T0, T1, you should listen to all my videos, because this is about quality of life. And it's definitely about quality of work, what you're coming up with. You are not, can't even listen, you're not as, how do we say that? As consistent as AI in following commands. Why not outsource as much as you can to AI? So automation integration, T2, 3 now is using a combination of the different methods, including AI. So T2 includes AI. T3 is now forms, T1 forms, plus AI of T2 to create T3. So that's basically what we sell in the white glove product. You might want to see that at our website. Our website is instanthpi.ai. You can see it there. So your honest self-assessments, what tier are you currently operating at? So most doctors are using a combination of multiple things. I think if you start medicine today in North America, you will be using you will not be using AI to start, most likely not, unless you search for it on your own, and then you use whatever you find, whether you use ChatGPT or whatnot. Your biggest problem is going to be with de-identifying and going anonymous, aka using patient information without using any identifying documentation. To you guys in the States and in Canada right now, I think that is actually impossible. And the reason it's impossible is that it's not built in the EMR systems. Let me explain that again. The EMR systems are already completely secure. Most EMR systems have very good security services and programming teams dedicated to making it as secure as possible. Why? Because they deal with patient information. We do not. So the difference between our system and your system is that AI, even if your EMR is secure, you don't want to give AI anything, right? So one of the ways they could do it, if you're so to continue what we were saying. So what tier of automation are you currently working at? So Most physicians are working with different layers of automation, but the main problem that you see in EMR systems of North America, which are the best in the world, by the way, is that they are secure systems and AI is not so secure. So it's not so secure because AI is not really made to promote security, right? These are language models that learn by having more and more and more information. So restricting information to AI is like going against what the basic thing in AI is. So the last thing you want is that you used AI and then AI is publishing your information on patients to everybody in the world. So it's very unlikely to happen. I don't think it will ever happen because that would mean the end of that AI line of products, right? Whereby then people would be completely afraid of using it whatsoever because you don't know to what degree then these systems are spying on you. So we already know they're spying. We already know they know everything, but it's not until you see that it's like they're giving the benefit of the doubt to exist, but we'll see in the future what happens from that end. So what I was explaining was that your EMR is a secure platform, but they can't run API calls with personal information to systems that do not guarantee that they will not save any of these data. So the API calls that exist, there is a no data retention policy in some models, ChatGPT, that can have, by the way, I use those in the previous forms of Instant HPI. That's what I use. I used to do API calls there was no data that was retained from ChatGPT, but they had a lot of limitations. For example, they couldn't do images. So it's unfortunate, but the models you couldn't just give it an image and say like, what does this X-ray report explains? And the reason that you would do that is that you could later then have AI receive 50,000 medical reports. And then they could prepare it to the physician and say, this is normal, this is not normal. And then they would present it to you with addressing a specific thing like, do we need to do a follow-up mammogram for this case? Do we need to see the patient in the office? Can I send her an email that says that the result of the X-ray is normal? So all that can be accelerated through AI, but only if the AI can actually look and interpret that and it's doing it in a reliable way. So there's multiple challenges here that are technical. Also, what I was explaining is that one of the ways that a huge hospital can run an AI project or an AI model in their hospital in a secure way that's HIPAA compliant and all that is to run it on a private server and not use the outsourced to a cloud based on a server somewhere in the world that you don't know where it's at, right? And that's the data issue is that what if I have a server of DeepSeek in China and now all my Canadian patient doctors is going to DeepSeek in China? So the question is, does the Chinese government use whatever DeepSeek is getting as far as API calls? And the answer is that we don't know. We don't know, but it's possible. And since it's possible, in Quebec, you cannot use DeepSeek for any patient-related service. And that's why. So the way you can go about that is you can have servers located locally in Quebec in your office, and the AIs are installed. And then you can use one that's not DeepSeek. You can use Llama, for example. I use Llama. And it's pretty good, and I love it. And it's way faster anyways than sending a message over API call to China to get a response back. That is fast. It's almost instantaneous, to be honest. But the ones installed on my laptop, and this is a simple like $3,000 laptop, Canadian, this is like this. It's like 15 seconds, and I already have my note fully built. So I did the math. The max build, let me explain something. In Quebec, there's 20,000 doctors. If I did all the notes of all the visits in Quebec, it would cost me maybe $200,000. I would never pay AI anymore. No more automation paying, no more form side payments, because the top laptops in Quebec, I'm saying laptops. I'm not even saying like a desktop build. I'm saying a MacBook laptop, 64 gigabytes of RAM, will cost you about $10,000. This is the most expensive thing. And it can actually run the full-time instant HPI of about 1,500 doctors. And there's only 20,000 doctors here. So that's roughly like 12 of these laptops, right? And you would have the totality of 8 million French Canadian people served with an investment that is minimal. It's very easy to say it like this, by the way, but it's truly a daunting task because the goal of Instant HPI is to actually automate every single physician. That's actually going to cost a fortune to build it into reality. So your honest self-assessment, and that's it. This is where our video ends. So please check out our HPI Repeat MD page, and so that you can see our products. You can see all these videos, I'm actually posting it over in there on the section called Discover. I definitely recommend, by the way, I talk about Nomad List, I talk about Spruce Health. Man, there are beautiful things that you guys need to get familiar with because it is actually better than ever now. It's the time for communication. It's the time to know where the cool stuff is at so you can really have a blast. Don't waste your money in garbage. Just waste your money in those things that are pleasant to do and be minimalistic in life. Don't overextend yourself. I give advice to doctors all the time, and I tell them when you start medicine nowadays, 2025, start in telemedicine. Telemedicine is not the telemedicine of your ancestors or the doctors that train you in the year 1975 when they became a doctor. Today, telemedicine is something completely different. They never knew what telemedicine was. You live in a world of technology. It's completely different. You get to live a freedom that they never even thought would be possible. And so that is why I encourage physicians on your first year, work with freedom and then see if you want to settle down somewhere later, because the reason is you're going to have the money for it. Right? You work telemedicine, it's still a full job. You're going to get the same salary another doctor will for going to a location, number one. Number two, in like 5 years, telemedicine usage has increased 350% in the States alone, 350% in 5 years. What does that tell you? COVID was an accelerator. And now there's a lot more job offers and there's a lot of money in it and there's good lifestyle behind it as well. So it's the combination of all these things. You get to live quality of life that was never thought of for physicians. So the nomad physician, I have like a presentation on that. Watch these videos because they will give you absolute acing. It's like, you can ace your boards, but if you fail at life, you didn't do yourself a service. Ace at life and then ace your boards as well. Ace both. Use these tricks, these tools that I'm telling you. I have thought for myself for them to be, look, it looks like this guy's looking at me. Not anymore. Wait. Yes, Carlos, yes. So bottom line, that's it. Quite simple. I think we'll be doing another video in a short while. Stay around.